Hi guys, it's Blackie. I would like to restart a series that I had a couple of years ago about beginning bushcraft. I have quite a few of my followers, young followers especially, that's asking me about gear and what I think and how about this and etc. So I would like to give you an idea of some starting level stuff. Yes, there is some much more high quality stuff out there and in some ways is better. But at the same time, it normally costs a lot more. And so the guys just getting started, a lot of times they don't know if they want to invest that kind of money in something that they're not sure about the sport or the hobby yet. So here's how to get into woodscraft, doing stuff out in the woods, okay? What I recommend as a starting level, let's start with cutting tools right now. Okay, now I'm going to move the camera in close and I'm going to show a few pieces of gear that I think would be very good starting level gear to get you started. Okay. Stay with me. One of the best knives for the money for a starting knife, and it's a good knife no matter what, and many people have started out with it, is a Mora. Moras are usually $20, $25 or less money knives. This is the one that I started out with several years ago, still use it quite often. Mine is the wooden handle, slightly thicker model. I don't remember the exact number of it off the top of my head. But the Mora is a very good knife, beginning knife for the money. It's extremely good for wood carving and woodscraft type, bushcraft type tasks, and it doesn't break the bank. Weakness and disadvantage, it's a rat tail tang, so don't be pounding on it a lot. If you want a baton, get something else. But for a knife in the crafting end of it, the Mora is very hard to beat. Out of Condor line, there is the Kepart knife. The Kepart knife is a solid tang. It is a decent piece of steel. It holds an edge well, and they run somewhere around 35 bucks. Sometimes you can find them on sale for 29. You can find them on eBay. I bought mine off of eBay for $20, so they are available on surplus. This is a very good woodscraft crafting knife to start out with. Another one that you've seen me use in a lot of my earlier videos is the Condor bush lower. This one was about $35. Very good knife for the money. Yes, there are better steels out there and all like that, but for the money, this is a hard knife to beat. It's a very good design, and it's very good for using and doing crafting. It won't break the bank. And it's also a solid one-piece tang. So this can be batoned. The Kepart can be batoned. Of the two, I would recommend the woods lower, bush lower type deal. I believe it's bush lower. Yes, the Condor bush lower as the knife to go with. If you, when you go from the Mora up, I'd recommend getting both of them. The Mora is better at fine carving tasks because of its thinner blade and its laminate steel. The bush lower is better at woodcraft tasks where we're batoning, cutting, splitting, kindling, etc. So those three edges right there would serve very well for a beginning woodscrafter. Now, moving from that uphill just a little bit, in the cutting tool department, something to process firewood with. Well, the cold steel tomahawks, trailhawks are very good for their price. They're a very good camp tool. I like the design because you can take the handle out and use the blade separately, and I've done a video on that. It's got a very good hammer pole on it for pounding tin steaks, breaking stuff like that, and it's fairly forgiving if you're a little abusive and ain't got the skills that highly yet. This type of tool works very well. Now, since you know I love Kukris, but let's stay on choppers. I created this one a while back. Now all this is, and this is a great entry level, it's an American made Hatchet that you can get from the big box stores like Walmart. It's got a longer handle. I cut it off. It's also got a hammer pole on it, and it does a good job as a camp tool, as a camp axe. So if you're looking something to get started with as a chopper, a wood processor, and you'd rather carry a hatchet or something like that, and you don't like how long the cold steel handle is, one of these can be picked up at a hardware store cheaply. I recommend going with the American-made ones because the steel is much better in the head and it holds an edge better. Now, since you know I love Kukris, the Kukri that I'm going to recommend on the bottom end of the scale is going to be the cold steel Kukri Machete. Excuse me, nearly sneezed. These are actually made out of spring steel, so they hold a decent edge and they take a lot of abuse before they break. I have never broken one. I haven't seen one broken, but I have heard of it, and it's usually some sort of severe abuse. But if in your woods you're more interested in just clearing out a campsite, busting a little brush, splitting up a little bit of firewood, and anything more than that, you're going to probably just put it against a tree and kick it to break it, one of these would be a very good investment. They're very light. This one cost me, I think, $21 at a gun show, and I've had it for several years. The Kraton handle holds up well, but I've wrapped mine with paracord. And they're relatively easy to sharpen, and they do a good job as a field tool. Last thing to bring up. And I did a video on this. If you're looking for the absolute bottom of the barrel budget, a case or a old hickory butcher knife, you see a lot on video of these being modified into a bush lore style design. Quite often these knives can be picked up at junk shops, things like that, for $1 or $2 each. You want to stay with either the case or with the old hickory. You'll also find some other foreign made ones. They don't hold up as well. But these actually do very well as a bushcraft knife. Now for a sheath, I went to Smoky Mountain Knife Works and got the sheath that's designed for the K-bar military knife. The knife slides into it perfectly, and that gives you a field knife for a relatively little investment. I think the sheath was like $8, and the knife I picked up at a flea market for like $2. So for under $10, 10 or 12 bucks, I've got a field knife. So to recap, getting into woodscraft / bushcraft does not have to be a huge financial investment. In the long run, you will want to invest in better tools. Now these are in no way bad tools, bad knives or whatever. Are they better? Yes. But at the beginning experience level, you don't know the difference. Now let me clarify that a little bit. Someone who races like Indy 500 race cars for a living, a pickup truck is not very impressive to them because they race high-end, high-performance, blah, blah, blah. On the other end, taking a guy off the street and putting him into a Formula One car is a guaranteed mess-up. You're going to have to learn. You're going to make mistakes. The 3 factors that are going to teach you in the field are, number 1, time. You have to do it enough. 2, experience. You've got to see what you're doing and adjust to it. 3, failure. Your failures teach you more than anything else. So you're going to make mistakes. It is better to make mistakes with a cheap knife that may get it damaged than taking a $300 and $400 knife and damaging it. See my point? Learn the skills, learn the ability, and don't break the bank getting into it. Once you get where you're fairly confident, then look to upgrade. Now, for a lot of my videos, you will see me using that Moore knife right there. I still like this knife. I still use this knife. It rides in my haversack for use around camping, for detail work and stuff like that. It's one of my favorite knives. I have better knives now, but it's not a bad knife just because I've got better. I got from William Collins my Master Woodsman. This is my absolute favorite knife today. But this knife still has a purpose. Just because I've got better doesn't mean this is junk. Okay? You saw a lot of my videos with the Condor bush lore. It's a good entry-level decent knife for learning bushcraft with. You learn how to sharpen a knife, you learn how to baton, you learn how to make bow drill sets and trigger sets and all of that stuff with a knife that, even if it ain't on sale, is under 40 bucks. So I can afford that, you know. One of my very first videos was with this cold steel Kukri machete. I still use this one, although I have much better Kukris. It still serves a purpose. And at the entry level of learning, this is an outstanding buy because it's light, it's got the design, and it's good for the chopping, the splitting, the etc. of the light stuff you'll use in beginning woodscraft. I hope this gives you some idea, guys. Please leave any questions or comments down below. And if you haven't subscribe, please do. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Woodscraft. Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.